something like Azure basics, and after that we have covered something like Azure virtual machine and how to connect virtual machine, and like we have covered end to end on Azure storage side and how to connect from SSMS. All these things we have covered so far, and we have explored something like how we can able to upload manually, and like how we can upload if similar file exists, and like all these things we have covered so far. And now, just like I want something like I want to explore on the AZ copy. Okay, AZ copy is something like it's a tool which helps you to copy the data from one source to another source. This is something like it is mainly used not only for Azure cloud, not only for Azure. This is only not only for Azure. You can do it for from on-premises to Azure, and you can do it from like AWS to Azure or GCP to Azure. Like that also we can able to copy the data from one cloud environment to another cloud environment. This is one is a solution to copy from one environment to another environment, or one from one cloud environment to another cloud environment, or from one storage to another storage, or from one container to another container. You can all these things are possible, and from on-premises to cloud as well. Okay, this will call it as a AZ copy. And this is something like open source, and anyone can download this AZ copy, and you can they can use that. They can use that. There is no restrictions in that. And like to download this, right? First, you have to there will be some zip file for this AZ copy download. Yeah. And here you can see, right, the download the AZ copy portable binary. And like if you see here, you will have something like different types of OS missions, like different applications will be there for each different OS. And like for Windows, we need to select something like Windows 64 bit if it supports, or like 32 bits based upon your configuration. And once we download this, right, it will be downloaded as a zip file. It will be downloaded as a zip file. I think already I have that. I think so. Yes, sir. Yeah, you can see, right? It is in zip file format. And post that, what you have to do, you have to unzip this file. You have to unzip this file and post unzipping, and like it looks something like this. It looks something like this. Just right click on this, and just right click and cut this application. You can cut this, or else you can copy that and go to your C drive. Go to your C drive and post that. Create one folder with the name of AZ copy, and inside this folder, place this application AZ copy, only AZ copy. Okay, and after this, after placing this AZ copy, just select this and type something like CMD and run. See, now you can see something like AZ copy. Okay, now here you have to type your commands, the AZ copy commands, and how the commands looks like. The commands are very simple, like it is not much complicated. And this is one of the command, like use SAS token. And previously we have seen the SAS, right? Same. Just they're using some SAS token, and with the help of the SAS token, they're copying the data from on-premises to cloud. And now what I will do, I will copy this one, and let me go to Notepad. Just in this, right, what I will do, I will change my local path. I will change my local path. Let me go here. Yeah, I have some files, right? I will copy this path. Just I'm replacing this path. And now we need to add this URL. This is the container path, right? Now what I will do, let me go to the browser and overview container. I will add new container with a name of something like on-prem on-prem. Just I give some name. So don't accept uppercase. Just I have created this content properties, and this is the container path. And now what I will do, I will replace this. And post this, here we need to create the SaaS token. For now, what I will do, I will create a SaaS token, shared access signature, and let it be. I will give all the permission. We need only the right permission, and this must be expired on 23rd. And just I'm generating the SaaS token, and this is the Blob SaaS token. I will copy this. Just I'm replacing this. Now let me copy this command. Let me go to CMD command prompt. Just I will paste it here. Let me run this. Okay. Let me download this new version instead of this one. There are some issue with this existing version. Just I will download this. Yes. Okay, we are getting some authentication issue here. And instead of using this SaaS token, what I will do, I will use the account level SaaS token. I think there was some issue I'm facing. I'm not sure why it is throwing some error. I will check and I will debug on this and I will come back to you on this one. I'm not sure why it is throwing. Just like to do same method, but yeah. Let me discuss on another topic. Meanwhile, I'll come back on that part. Let me walk through these different types of databases which we have in Azure and this Azure copy. I'm not sure why it is throwing some error. I'll come up with on that part. Okay, and let me walk through these databases. See, what is a database means? Database is something like a digital storage box. Something like previously in we are having something like on-premises databases, and now everything was digitalized and the databases. We are having different types of databases as well, and it is mainly used to store some information. It is mainly used to store different some information, and different types of databases was there for different purpose. Okay. Unlike that, first we have something like Azure SQL database, SQL database in Azure. This will call it as Azure SQL database. See, this is something this Azure SQL database was there. Right? It is similar to something like Excel. We are having something like the columns and rows and okay, and there will be some entities. Rows are nothing but entities, and the columns are nothing but values. Okay, the columns are nothing but the entities, and rows are nothing but the values. Columns are entities, and rows are values. And the columns are something like the employee ID, employee name, and employee address, and employee what I can say department. All these will be as entities, and under that we'll have the values for that specific employee. Okay, and this is something if you want to store this kind of data, this will call it as a structured data. This will call it as a structured data. And if you want to store this kind of data, then we have to use this Azure SQL database. And it is something like a proper organized data. Okay, this kind of data, right? Like in a database, we can store and we can clean the data and we can generate the reports on top of that. Okay, and basically it is only used for the SQL database. If you want to store the structured data, right, then we will propose the SQL database as a source system. And we have something like Cosmos DB. Okay, this Cosmos DB is having it is something like the NoSQL database. It is having the flexibility. It is having something like different types of what I can say like APIs for Cosmos DB. And it is mainly designed. It is flexible for NoSQL. NoSQL in the sense something like JSON kind of data. If you want to store something like the JSON kind of data or semi-structured or unstructured, something like JSON kind of data, or else something like key value pair, or else some graph kind of data. If you want to store this kind of data, then we will recommend Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB is suitable for to store this kind of data, or as a document, or graph, or key value pair, or some columnar data, or something like JSON documented data. This will be proposed. This database is suitable to store these kind of data. And we have something like in Azure, we have something like Azure MySQL and PSQL, PostgreSQL. And these are the something like popular databases, the MySQL and the Postgres, and these are the open source structured data. And here also it looks something like a similar and same. It is also mainly used to store something like the rows and column kind of data. If it is mainly used that only. And it is when we use something like the WordPress or something like the Magento and the open source tool, right? Users developed they'll prefer for there is something like applications will be there for websites or some applications, these databases will be mainly used. These are mainly used for the web applications or some application purpose. These databases are mainly used. And we have something like Azure table storage, and this table storage also, it is something like it is a bit fast, and it is something like cheaper, and it looks like something like a notebook kind of data. It will be stored here. It is also similar to something like the key value pair kind of data. And we have something like Azure Synapse also. Synapse Analytics is mainly used for big data. That will call it as a data warehouse. Synapse will call it as a data warehouse. Like it is something like a ELT tool, and like where we can extract the data and where we can load and we can transform. And it is more over the Spark SQL will be executed on top of that. Like this, moreover, we'll focus on this Azure SQL database. As a data engineer, right, we will most of the cases we will look into this SQL database. Okay, I will show you like how to create this SQL database and how to connect that to the SSMs. Yesterday we have connected to something like Azure Storage Explorer, something like that. We have similar kind of standalone tool for this Azure SQL database as well, and we will use that. And by using that, right, we can connect to that SQL server, and we can do whatever the things we want. Like we can write whatever the queries we want, and we can extract and we can perform some transformations on top of that, and we can write in whichever the table we want. All kind of transformations can be achieved. Let me show you like how we can able to create this SQL database. Okay. Like first, you need to search as Azure SQL and post this. They are giving some free service. If you want to use it, you can use that. Something around like 1 lakh pico seconds and 32 GB data. If you want to apply, you can apply, and just it's a free of cost. And post this, we have to select this Azure subscription and the resource group name. I will give something like RGFMCG and a database name. Just I gave some random. And post this, you have to create one server. This must be unique. Okay, the server name is available. Just I gave something like that. And post this, I want to use something like user authentication. Just I will give same name. FMCG here as well. Yes, I'm selecting this. Just we need to give this the server name and the location. And yeah, this is something like auto pause. Let it be. If you are not using, automatically it will be passed. And just I'm creating this server. It's validating. Oh, deployment is started. Okay, this is free of cost, right? Okay, let it be created. And meanwhile, we will explore a few more details. But like in free of cost, right, we can't able to see those details. We have a lot of things needs to explore. Okay, I'm not selecting this apply offer, just I'm selecting the default. I will select some random resource group and database name. So just I will give some DB. Okay, just I'm not going to select this server because anyhow already it is there. Let it say deployed. And here you can see something like the elastic pool, right? See, the elastic pool is something like it is like a yeah. Let me open something like trains. Yeah, assume like you are having like in one organization, we will have different projects, right? Instead of creating multiple, what I can say like multiple databases, what they will do, like for each and every database, we need to configure something like the individual data, like an individual server configuration needs to be provided. Okay, and let me check this up. Data. What is happening here? Let me review and apply it. Yes. I'm giving some name, random name. Just I will select somewhere else. Just I will give something. Let me give some name here. Just I will copy this as it is. Yeah. Just I have selected this, right. Now post this. You can able to see this option. Previously we are not able to see. And if I click on this, right, you can able to something like we are having two different types of tiers here. One is something like the vCore based purchasing model. Another one is something like a DTU based purchasing model. And vCore based purchasing model is something like the virtual cores, and DTU is something like the data transaction units. Okay, and here, right, if you want to create a single database, what you have to do, you have to select either of the option. And if you are having something around like multiple projects in your organization, you have to create multiple databases with set of configuration, with set of compute and storage. And now what it will happen, and like whenever you are using or whether you are not using, even though the Azure cloud provider, he is going to charge for your resource after post creating these services, right? And that particular compute and the storage will be allocated to this particular service. And so if you want to use with this configuration, even though the cloud provider, he is going to charge because he allocated for you. And now to escape these charges, to escape from these charges, now we have something like another, we have something like the elastic pools. What this elastic pool will do, and just you have to create this elastic pool, okay, on server level, and post this what it will happen, post this what it will happen. And like whenever you are trying to create this database, right, just you have to select that elastic pool. How this elastic pool works, how this elastic pool works, assume this is your organization, and this is something like a database, this is something like a database. And here for each and every database, like assume like you're having four databases, you're having four databases. And here they are using a different configuration, here they are using different configuration, here they are using different configuration, here they are using different configuration. Assume something like they are here they are using something like 10, and here they are using something around 50. Assume here they are using something around 20, and here they are using something around 70. This is the compute and the storage capacity, assume something like that. And see, like every user, like for every in every project, right, it will be not something like they're not going to work something around like 24 hours, right? 24 hours they are not going to work. They'll work at certain time, and post that it will the server services will looks like something, some amount of time it will be ideal. So this particular team, right, they are not like they have configured something around 10, but they are not at all utilizing 10. They are using something around like a 7 max. They are using something around 7. Here they are using something around 40, and here something they are using around 50, assume, and here they are using around 60. And always in each and every company, like they will maintain something like the 20% gap between the threshold and the actual. Okay, and now they're utilizing this much, but their actual size is this. And even they're using or they're not using, even though that will be chargeable. Now what it will do, what this elastic pool will do, instead of using like multiple compute services, here in elastic pool you have to configure something around, we can configure something around like I want total 100 GB, 100. And now what it will do, like this will be shared across the database, this particular project team can use this one, and this particular project team they can use that, and this particular project team they can use, and this project team also they can use this elastic pool. And what it will happen, and like whenever these two teams are not using, and like whichever the task was executed by this the team, right, it will be optimized, because there was something around like 100 was there. 100 means too heavy, right? Like it can process like very soon, it can process very soon, and as well as it is reducing the cost as well. It is reducing the cost as well, because it is something like shared across multiple users. And if they are reaching their threshold, right, then automatically you can increase its capacity. Getting like what is mean by the elastic pool? And if I click on this elastic pool, right, let me select yes. If I select yes, right, all these options will be disabled. See, nothing was there. And here we need to click on something like create new. And if already it is exists, then you have to select from this drop down. Just let me give some name here. I will use something like FMCG. Okay. Yeah. And after like I gave some name here FMCG, right? And post this, you can see something like the compute and storage. And after giving this name, we got this option. And here minimum starts with 50. This is something like EDTU. This will call it as a EDTU, Elastic Data Transaction Units. Elastic Data Transaction Units. And maximum you can see up to 3000 DTUs, the data transaction units. And here you can see some size as well. You can increase as much as you want. And here also we are having different tiers, and something like based upon your requirement, right, you have to select something like the appropriate. You have to select the appropriate, and these will be something like what I can say, these are something like which will help you to uh, like save your cost, which will help you to save your cost. And post this, what we will do, we will apply on this one. Okay, we will apply and post this. Just let me review and create this. Let it be. This is too costly. Just I'm creating and I will show and I will delete to this. I will delete this. 220 USD per month. The deployment is in progress. Yeah. Now this service got deployed. This resource got deployed. Let me go here. This was something like this will work under the elastic pool, right? Elastic pool. Like uh, the what I can say the compute which we have selected accordingly it will work. If I go here, you can able to see this compute. Yeah, you can able to see, and you can able to increase and decrease based upon your requirement, and you can see the utilization in from this bar chart. And now what I will do, and like I want to create another SQL database for another team. Now what I will do instead of creating like new server, right? New server, I will select something like already I'm using some elastic pool. Right? Just I will select that particular server. If I click on yes, and just if I click on this drop down, see you can see something like FMCG, the pricing tier standard. Already I am getting this one. If just I will select that and I will create this database. That's it. I am not giving any configuration here. See, if you observe, nothing was there here. Are you getting?
Yes, Anil.
Yeah, are you getting like what we are doing? I think it is not. See, in SQL, right? We have different three types of TS. Okay, one is something like elastic, and another one is something like VCO, and another one is something like DTU. Okay, here in elastic, right? These are the compute. These are the compute TS. Okay, and in elastic, right? What it will do? Assume like you are handling four projects. You are like for same client, you are handling four projects. Okay, four projects. One is for APAC and Japan and Australia and some like US. Assume like you are handling these projects or for same client. And here they are using some databases. In their project, they are using databases. See, each and every database will run always, it will run on server. Okay, server. And what the server holds, server will have something like and CPU and memory. CPU and memory. Always there will be a CPU and memory for each and every server. Now, while creating a database, if the server is already exists, then we are going to select existing server. If the server is not exist, then we have to create a new server. Right? This is the case. And assume like you are new to this project, nothing was there, and just we want to create a new server. In this new server, like you have to create these like four database for four projects. Four databases are required. Four database was required. Four databases are required. And like the actual plan from the client side, they want like they are planning to create four servers for four databases with different compute and different memory based upon the data size. Four servers for four databases with different CPU and different compute memory size based upon the requirement. Now, what you will do, you will propose some solution for this. Instead of creating four different servers, we can create one server for four databases. And what is the benefit of this? What is the benefit of this? And see, like in each and every server, you are creating with set of CPU and storage, right, with some memory. And if you are using or not using Azure, the cloud provider, he is going to charge for that. He is going to charge for that because you have selected that configuration while creating this server, right? And to save your budget, and like what you will do, you will create one server, you will create one server, and on top of that, you will create a four databases. One server, four databases, four databases. And what is the benefit? What is the benefit from this? Like one server or four database, right? See, I have configured something like 100 GB CPU and 1 TB memory. Assume. Okay, I have configured this server with 100 GB memory and 1 TB, 100 GB compute and 1 TB memory. Okay, and now, like, what is the benefit? See, we have mentioned something like project four projects we have, right? Like for APAC, Japan, Australia, and US. And now, see, like in APAC, right? APAC, this team is not utilizing much. They are not like they don't have much data. They're not utilizing much. So like it will be like benefit for Japan and Australia because they are having 100 CPU, and which makes faster their job. Okay, and they have something like Australia, like there's something like US, and US and APAC they're not utilizing. They're having something like less data, and like it will be a benefit to the other projects. And the cost will be something like the static mode. The cost will be something like a static mode. There is no something like up and down. And like if they are not at all utilizing something like 80% of their capacity, and obviously we can reduce that compute size so that you can able to save. The performance is increasing, and whenever someone is ideal position, and like we are getting something like the cost saving mode was there. These two are the major thing which will help in the serverless. But in vCore and DTU, right? vCore and DTU, like it will be only for single project. Whenever you are having something like a single project, right? We will go this with vCore and DTU. And vCore is something like it is individual capacity. Like individually, you can able to scale up and scale down the CPU and storage. But here in DTU, right, in data transaction unit, it is something like it is the combination of CPU and IOs and memory. It will come in this combination CPU, IO, and memory. Okay, like DTU is something like it's a combination of CPU, IO, and memory, and this will be used for smaller workloads. Smaller workloads, and this will be used for larger workloads or higher workloads. Why it is used smaller workloads? See, whenever you want to increase your compute, right, and you like if whenever you want to increase your memory, right, without like if you don't want to increase this CPU, like this compute is not required, and you want to increase, like if you try to increase this memory, automatically this CPU also increasing. So like additionally you are getting some charges like which is not required, only you need the memory. And without needed, like you are increasing the CPU as well. Because of that reason, like this will be used only for smaller workloads. And in vCOS you can use something like individually. Like you can use you can scale vertically the CPU. If you want to scale up only CPU, you can scale up only CPU. Or else if you want to scale up only the storage, you can scale up only storage vertically. But here it is not something like that. Let me show you some image just for clarity purpose. Not this one. Yeah. See, if you see this image, like this is the DTU model, and the database transaction in it, the based on like the bundled of measure of the compute, storage, and IO, input and output resources. And the best for the customer who wants a simple, okay, the smaller workloads. And see, and if you want to increase your storage, right, and parallelly you have to increase your compute as well. You have to increase your compute as well. Okay, like whenever you want to, either if you want to increase your compute and you want to increase your storage as well, which is not required, and this is mainly preferred for the smaller workloads. And if you observe this, right, the vcode based purchasing model and independently scalable. And if you want to scale up only compute, yeah, you can able to scale up only compute. And if you want to scale up only storage, yeah, you can able to scale up only storage. That kind of flexibility you will have in the vcore based purchasing model. See, independent scaling of compute, storage, and IO resources, best for the customers who value flexibility and control and transparency. Use with Azure hybrid benefits, Azure SQL, to gain the cost savings. Okay, these are the two different types of purchasing model which we have in Azure. And parallelly, EDT in the sense something like the elastic data transaction unit. Any doubts? Is that clear or not clear?
I have one more question, Anil. So this
Yes.
elastic pool, right? So normally, I mean, if one client is having multiple projects, we can use. But what about like if we have only a single project? So in that case, should we use this? Can we use this
No, just
elastic?
we will mark this as a no. That's it. And you can go and you can configure whichever the configuration you want. That's it.
Okay, so it is suitable only if we are having multiple projects within a single client, or else it's
Yes,
not
yes.
advisable to use
Like
that.
if there is a requirement, if they are using something like the multiple databases, if they are having something like around a 10 or 20 databases they are having, something like that.
So in that case, if we have only, if in that case, if we have only single database, so it is better to choose the other two things, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you want, if you have multiple databases, then you will go with the Elastic Pool. And if you have single database, just you'll mark this as a no, and you will go here, and just you can configure here. That's it.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. And we have something like the serverless. Serverless is something like based upon it is something like auto scaling kind of thing, the serverless. And provisioned means like pre-allocated, and whatever the configuration you have provided, accordingly it will be it will be allocated, and that will be chargeable. And in serverless, the price will be reduced. See, in provision, if you see the price something around like 372 USD, and if I select serverless, and the price got reduced, they won't like this is the estimation, just like 4.78 USD. This just estimation. And like if you are not using, automatically this will be passed. Okay, and here you have to select either VCore based or DTU based purchasing, something like this. See, only we have something like the DTU, like only we have the only one line. And if I select the VCore, you can see two lines. The maximum and minimum VCores, and this is the size. How much size you want. Because why we got these two options? We have selected serverless. Maximum like one and minimum week. Okay, and like it will reach maximum to one, not beyond that. And if I select the provision, we can't see that that one, the maximum and minimum one. Only we will have only one. And one, whenever you select the serverless, then only you can see something like a maximum and mean. Because this serverless, what it will be, it is something like the auto scale kind of thing. Okay, whenever there was some workload, right, it will be scaled up. It will be scaled up to its maximum. And whenever there is no or like such a kind of requirement, right, like so automatically it will be scaled down to save the cost. Okay, is that clear? Okay, let me create this one, and meanwhile I will delete that serverless one because it's too costly. Okay, let me create SQL. Mm, I will set the serverless one, and the maximum I will Q2, and let it be the default one. Apply LRS networking security, and here it I will select sample for now because it will give some sample tables for practice purpose, and going forward UP also needs to select the sample. They will give some default tables, and on top of that you can do some practice. See, like whatever the inputs you have provided, right? You can cross check once again in the inputs. If you see here, like whatever the inputs you have provided, all the inputs will be there. And here you can see some outputs, on the deployment is going on. And like whatever the inputs you have provided in to create this service, right? In backend, that will be converted into the JSON code. See, this is the JSON code. This we will call it as a ARM template. ARM template means like Azure Resource Manager. Okay, what that ARM template this JSON will do. With the help of this JSON code, the service will be deployed in backend. Whatever the values, whatever the parameters you are passing while creating the storage service, right? Based upon those inputs in backend, that will be converted into the JSON and in the form of something like a ARM template. And with the help of that, the service will be deployed. See, all based upon these inputs. Yeah, see, the deployment got succeeded. Let me open this SQL database. And if you want to connect it, just here, you have to click on this query editor. And I already can see some login, right? Just I will give the password which I gave while creating this service. See, now it is throwing some error. What is this error? It is related to the network. Okay. And now to fix this issue, what we need to do? Let me go back. And here you can see something like the server name, right? Just click on this link. You'll go back to the server. See, you can see this is a SQL server. From SQL database, we came to server. And here, right, in this SQL server, what you have to do? You have to go to security and you have to select something like the networking. And in this networking, like the public access was disabled, and you have to select something like the selected networks, and post that you have to select this something like add your client IP address. This IP address you have to add, and post this you have to select this allow Azure services and resources to access this server. Yes, and post that you have to click on this save. Okay, we have to save this server. Yeah, and we have added our firewall. Now to fix that error, let me go back to the SQL database. See, we came back to the SQL database, and now go to query editor and provide your username and password. See, now we are able to log into this SQL Server database, and we have something like a standalone tool. We have something like SSMS. You have to download this SSMS 2021 SQL Server Management Studio. And if you scroll down, install SQL Server. Yeah. Yeah. If you click on solutions and Yeah. Here, maybe showing something. Okay, I will share that link. Anyhow, I have that SSMS. This will call it as a SQL Server Management Studio. Basically, like we need to install that. I don't know, like there's so many things got changed. Okay, I will show you. Like once we install that SQL Server Management Studio, right? Uh, we need to open that. We need to post initially installing that, right? We need to open that, and we need to open and we need to connect this server to that SQL Server Management Studio. It will take some time to open. It looks like this. Something it looks like this. And now what we need to do? Like post installing this SQL Server. Let me go to overview. And here we can see something like the server name, right? We need to copy this one and we need to paste it here, the server name. And here the login user ID which we have provided, right? We have to take that username. This is the username. And here we need to give the password. Remember the password. Let me say this. Yeah. After giving these details, right? See, the database will be accessible from here. See, the database which we have rated the FMCG one, right? We can able to see, and we can see like whatever the tables like we have selected some sample tables, right? These tables we haven't created any of these. Just by default we got from the account from the service from the resource we got from by default because we have selected some sample data is required. Uh, by using this, right, you can able to practice however you want. You can write some queries and you can do practice however you want. Just something like this. See, now we can able to see the data from the database. Okay, I will share the link like the download link. Okay, yeah, I will share that this SSMS Studio SQL Server Management Studio. how to download. Like I will share, I will find it and I will share that link. I think the things was changed in the document level. Okay, and meanwhile you can practice on how to create this SQL Server and how we can able to do. I will share. And we have something like the Data Studio as well, and I will show you that as well. In tomorrow's session, like in most of the projects, they will use the Data Studio. And Data Studio is also similar, like the SSMS only, and with we are having some additional benefits over there. I think I don't have the Data Studio.